Hello aspirants, looking at current affairs for 4th August. The news items picked up from the Hindu newspaper are these 10. We'll look at them in detail. The first one, Nota option to stay in Rajya Sabha polls. So Nota stands for none of the above. So this is an option which we see in EVM machines too. The 2014 General Assembly elections saw this button as such on the EVM, so you can vote for any candidate, or even you can vote press the Nota button. Means you are not voting for any of the candidate who is standing for the elections. So for Lok Sabha elections, the way it was there, it is there also for Rajya Sabha elections. So about Rajya Sabha elections, one thing which you should know is that Rajya Sabha members are indirectly elected. The 2014 General Assembly elections took place all over India, and members were elected from each state, and they became the MPs in the Lok Sabha, members of parliament in the Lok Sabha, the lower house of the Parliament of India. So here, the party which gets the majority of the seats in Lok Sabha forms the government. But we have another house too. We have bicameralism. Bicameralism means legislature having two houses. So the upper house is the Rajya Sabha. So in the Rajya Sabha, the elections do not take place the way Lok Sabha elections take place. They are indirect elections. Means Rajya Sabha, the maximum strength is 250 members. 12 are nominated by the president. So remaining 238 members are indirectly elected by the people. Means those who have been elected by the people are electing them. So the state legislative assemblies formed by direct elections, the way Lok Sabha elections are also held. The state legislative assembly members elect Rajya Sabha members. So that is indirect elections. And the legislative assembly also, and also the Rajya Sabha, the English name for Rajya Sabha is Council of States. So that's what it represents. It represents the entire, all the 29 states as such of the country and UTs with legislative assembly. So this is regarding Rajya Sabha elections. And presently, one more thing you should know about Rajya Sabha is that Rajya Sabha is a permanent house. Lok Sabha goes on for a 5-year term. After that, after 5-year term, Lok Sabha dissolves. But Rajya Sabha is a permanent house. 1/3 members retire every 2 years, and each member has a term of 6 years. So every 2 years, 1/3 members are retiring. So there is a need for indirect elections to Rajya Sabha. So seats from various states, and states are also allotted seats. And this is specifically mentioned in Schedule 4 of the Constitution, that each state how many seats they will have in the Rajya Sabha. And those seats are, whichever members are retiring, based on that, that state will have those many indirect elections for Rajya Sabha as such from their state. So presently what is in news is regarding Gujarat, one of the states where from which members are retiring. So 3 seats from Gujarat are becoming vacant in Rajya Sabha. So these 3 seats, new members from will be elected by Gujarat Legislative Assembly. So they will not be same members of Legislative Assembly. They will be members from the political party to which they belong. So that is the case. So of course that is how it happens. It's not mandated, but that's how the elections take place. The parties nominate their own party members to go to Rajya Sabha. You cannot have dual membership. You cannot be a member of state legislative assembly and the parliament both at the same time. So now this particular case is of Gujarat elections only to Rajya Sabha. So these 3 seats which will be filled from Gujarat in the Rajya Sabha, the elections here are due, and when the Gujarat Vidhan Sabha brought forth a circular on 1st August 2017 to include Nota in the ballot papers, the opposition here, the Congress here went ahead and approached the Supreme Court asking for a stay on Nota in Rajya Sabha elections. So Nota in Rajya Sabha elections have been introduced by the Election Commission in 2014 through a circular where it clarified regarding how elections through Nota would take place in Rajya Sabha. Also, elections, including Nota in elections, took effect from 2013 after the Supreme Court gave its ruling. Till before that Election Commission had been recommending Nota, but governments were not ready to accept and implement it. So eventually, with Supreme Court intervention only, since 2013 we have that EVM machines also have the Nota button as such. So this is there. And apart from this, now the issue is that opposition, the Congress of Gujarat as such, wants Election Commission circular also be stayed and this Gujarat Vidhan Sabha circular also be stayed. So there should be no Nota in Rajya Sabha elections. The argument they are putting forth is that this is a recipe for corruption. They say that, as we have seen, that poaching of MLAs take place. The other party tries to take over MLAs from your party, bringing them in their favor. So many MLAs have also quit as such too we have seen from Congress. So this is a fear which is there. And another thing is that elections to Rajya Sabha are open ballots. So there is no secret. The way we vote in elections also, it's a secret vote. But in Rajya Sabha elections is an open ballot, and also it is not a single person being voted by a single, every vote is not to a single person, but it is a single transferable vote through proportional representation, the same way as president's election take place. So we have discussed regarding presidential elections. We'll see again a little about single transferable vote, what is it, and proportional representation. We'll see that too. So same thing is followed here in Rajya Sabha too. So if there are 20 members standing for elections, then there will be a ballot paper containing all the 20 names, and you have to rank them according to your order of preference if you are one of the members voting for them. So this is how it takes place. So what they want is that this nota option should not be there. Otherwise, parties would, otherwise MLAs would defy party whip. But then the Supreme Court has stated that that is fine. Even if they defy party whip, this is not defection. So this is not considered as defection. So defection is a condition under which the MLA or a member of parliament or legislative assembly can be removed. We lose the membership of the house. So that is defection. Disqualification on the basis of defection. If they shift to another party or they go against the party whip. But in case of Rajya Sabha elections, they can defy the party whip. That will not allow it, be resulting in defection. So that is what the whole thing is all about. So now going ahead and looking at the Rajya Sabha elections and nota also a little in detail. So here you can see. So nota was introduced in the country by a Supreme Court ruling. So in September 2013, a 3-judge bench of the Supreme Court said that nota, as it is used in various countries, around 13 countries as such, including US, France, Brazil and Bangladesh. So India will also introduce nota, and it said even Indian Parliament has its voting machines having as noes and abstentions. So even when in Parliament a bill is being voted on or something, so the 3 options are there. You can abstain from voting. So that is what nota is all about. That you don't select either of the options given, or amongst all of the options you select none. So that is why once the Supreme Court gave its ruling, Election Commission introduced nota in October 2013 for Lok Sabha elections, and then in 2014 for Rajya Sabha elections. So this, after that, now in Rajya Sabha elections too, as nota is there, so this will not result in defection, because even the Supreme Court ruling here is important, because this was the Kuldeep Nair versus Union of India case 2006, in which Supreme Court had dismissed a challenge to the introduction of open ballot system in Rajya Sabha elections. So when open ballot system was introduced in Rajya Sabha, so this was challenged, but Supreme Court ruled that no, it can be there, open ballot system can be there in Rajya Sabha elections, and even if a member votes against the party whip, it does not result in disqualification. You would not face any disqualification. So this same thing, when the open ballot system, if you are voting against, you don't face disqualification. So then even in case of nota, if you are voting for nota, there is no question of disqualification. So this is how the Rajya Sabha elections have also been clarified with nota by the Election Commission. This is there. These are the further details given here, as you can see. So the genesis of nota, which we have been discussing. So the maximum votes in nota came in Bihar Assembly polls in 2015, when 2.49% of the votes polled were for nota, highest ever so far. So this is that. As we said, if maximum is for nota also in any election, that is considered as invalid vote. A nota vote is also an invalid vote, but you can register your protest. So that is the function of nota, registering a protest, right? And this is again the same thing, how Bihar is the maximum nota votes polled as such. So this is in general the percentage share of nota votes shown in elections. And this is regarding how Rajya Sabha elections take place. So as we just discussed, that there are 250 members, 238 elected members, and 1/3 members retire every 2 years, each member having a 6-year term. So this, of course, in the initial phase, when the first Rajya Sabha was formed, this adjustment was done through through chit system. With 2-year terms and 4-year terms also members retired. So this cycle has been put into effect. So now onwards, every 2 years, 1/3 members retire. So 1/3 seats are up for elections. So they can be from various states. As I also said, that it's based on the 4th schedule of the constitution, that seats are allotted to various states in general on the basis of their population only. Now an example is given. So if in a particular state, if there are 10 seats which will be filled from that state in Rajya Sabha. So 10 members have to be elected by the state legislative assembly. So in this case, now there will be a political party which is in power here. So they say suppose this legislative assembly has 100 seats. And even if you suppose that one party has 80 seats, it's a huge majority in the house. So even if this particular party has 80 seats and has formed the government in that state, the opposition party, other party has 20 seats. Simplification, it's a two-party system which is being taken as an example. So here you will see that for 10 seats, 10 members to be sent to Rajya Sabha, if both parties give their own 10 members, the ruling party also and this X party and Y party both. So there are 20 members who are standing for elections. 10 out of these will be elected, other 10 will be rejected. So how many votes should they get? So the number of votes which they should get is this. The quotient of means of this. Number of MLAs in the house divided by number of seats contested plus 1. So if there are 10 seats here, so 10 plus 1, 11. Number of MLAs in this example is 100 MLAs. So 100 MLAs divided by 11 plus 1. So this comes to approximately 10 votes to win. So this is how it is done. So this you can see. So 10 votes, any member getting 10 votes. So out of all the members, 10 votes, whichever members get 10 votes will win. So how this goes ahead is through this single transferable vote system. So the process, as we saw, each member will be voting in order, that of those 20 members who are standing, which is their first preference, second preference and so on. And then the counting takes place. So with 20 seats in the opposition also, and if assuming that all 20 members here give first preference to their candidates, still 2 members will be elected from the opposition. So this can be assured as such. So it's not that all members will be from ruling party only in Rajya Sabha. And the single transferable vote, as we have seen in case of president's elections also. So if option 1 of all members is seen, all those who have voted is seen, and if any candidate gets the maximum votes, he becomes elected, means in this case 10 votes, they all become elected. If not, then in that case, then transferring of votes takes place with the least voted candidate having first preference. That person is out and his votes are passed on, transferred to all other members depending on the second preference which the candidates have given. This single transferable vote we have explained in detail in president's election, which was there in news in June and July. So we have done that. You can refer to that. This is regarding Gujarat Rajya Sabha elections too, which is in news. As we know, 3 seats in Rajya Sabha are to be elected from Gujarat state. So here the state legislative assembly will vote, and the strength of the state legislative assembly, you can see 182 members are there, but as 6 members of Congress quit. So now the strength has gone down to 176, and the number of MLAs from each political party, you can see BJP is the ruling party here. It has 121 seats. Congress has 57 seats. And the way the voting will also take place, the minimum number of votes which any person would require to win is shown here. You can see. So 176, the total strength of the members in the house, divided by 3 plus 1, that is 4, plus 1 more vote, at least 1 more vote. So that is total comes to 145. Sorry, comes to 45. So any member who will get any candidate vote standing for election, if he gets 45 votes, then he can go to Rajya Sabha. So this is how it will take place here. So, if all 51 Congress MLAs vote for one person, that person can easily be sent to Rajya Sabha. So this is the expectation. But since decisions are taking place, we have also seen that Congress is safeguarding its MLAs from poaching by having all of them, safeguarded, sent to Karnataka. So all this political news has been in news papers as such too. So then next we go ahead to the next news item. Blue whale game bothers elders. So elders is the house of Council of State, the upper house, that is the Rajya Sabha. So in Rajya Sabha, members have expressed concern regarding this online game known as Blue Whale. So this Blue Whale game or Blue Whale challenge as it is called is a game which is said to have originated in Russia. It is an app, and in this game, it's a 50-day game in which the people who are participating in this game, they are asked to fulfill a challenge. So every day, almost every day, there's a challenge. Challenges can be like, getting up at some odd time, like getting up at 4:20 a.m., climbing a crane, carving a specific phrase on your arm as such, poking a needle to your arm or leg. So self-harm kind of provisions, such challenges are there in this game. And as the level goes up, the challenges become difficult, and eventually the final challenge is to commit suicide. And we have seen various cases in which such incidents have taken place across the globe, majorly in Russia, also in China and other countries. And now we have seen our first case of this blue whale suicide. So this was a boy, a 14-year-old boy from Mumbai. So he committed suicide in July 2017, few days back. Already about 130 suicides due to this game have been reported from US, Russia, England and Italy. So this is in news. So this internet game, the Rajya Sabha members are asking that there should be provision to block such games. So this is the blue whale game. Also another game which has become prominent is in China also is this human embroidery game. So there are challenges given to embroider using needles on your body. So such self-harm games are doing the rounds now, and there is a need to safeguard the population, especially the youth, the youngsters who have such impressionable minds. So they need to be safeguarded from such games, and that is a case which is being made here in Rajya Sabha for some provision, some measures to put ban on such games and such apps. So this blue whale game, for this case also Russia in 2013, when number of incidents increased, this game began in 2013, but when the number of suicides increased, the first suicide that took place in 2015, and then finally the person who took the responsibility for having created this game, he has pleaded guilty for inciting at least 16 teenage girls to commit suicide. And now Russia is also has brought forth this suicide prevention legislation and is curbing this blue whale phenomena. Then next is techie held for assessing sensitive Aadhaar data. So this is regarding Abhinav Srivastav. He is a 31-year-old IIT Kharagpur graduate, and he has been arrested by Bengaluru City Police for accessing Aadhaar data without authority. So he had actually created this app called Aadhaar eKYC, and this app was available for download since Jan 2017, and it had provided for this Aadhaar data through accessing another app as such. This app is eHospital, and this eHospital app is actually an authenticated user agency. So UIDAI, which we have already discussed, Unique Identification Authority of India, which is the apex body for implementation of Aadhaar, it has allowed some agencies to have access to Aadhaar database. So eHospital is one of these authenticated user agency. So this app of Abhinav Srivastav piggybacked and got access because he is a software engineer. He could barge into and get access to eHospital database, and through that it was providing details through its app Aadhaar eKYC. So this is unauthorized access, and UIDAI complained regarding this, and the person has been arrested. So this is again a case of showing how access can be sought to UIDAI. Such breaches are possible. So this is a matter of huge concern as such, and this is the detail provided. So this is how Aadhaar authentication takes place. So this you can see is an Aadhaar holder, a resident who has obtained the Aadhaar number. So you have your own Aadhaar, every individual has an Aadhaar number. It has to be authenticated. So point of initiation of Aadhaar authentication transaction, like when you are, having some transaction being done, or when you are providing Aadhaar as your identities, and authentication is required. So through PCs, through kiosks, or even through handheld devices, when this authentication is done, like we have seen for for digital data also, digital transactions also, we are seeing that Aadhaar can be used. So when this Aadhaar authentication is required in those cases, so this authentication devices go and ask Aadhaar authentication user agencies to provide this service of authentication. So they have all the data in place. They have the entire Aadhaar data in place. So whichever Aadhaar number calls for authentication, they can provide that. So these are authentication user agencies. So you can see here the entire process is shown. So this authentication request going through this authentication device, through this authentication user agency, which will go and access authentication service agency. So this service agency has access to UIDI, CIDR. So of course this directly does not have access to the entire repository, but yes, it can get details. So this authentication service agencies are there like BSNL, etc. So these agencies will get the response from UIDI, the entire repository, the central repository as such, and then based on this yes and no response, the data is then further transmitted till this stage, final stage. So this is the whole process of authentication of Aadhaar information. And here it is seen that illegal access was made possible. Then the next news item is commercial fish in Chilika face threat of depletion. So this is regarding Chilika Lake in Odisha. Here it is the largest brackish water lake in India, and here it is seen that the fish population is suffering and depleting, and the reason for this is the small and zero mesh size nets which are being used for fishing. So when nets used are very small, so they can catch all size of fishes, big as well as small. So this includes even the larvae and juvenile stage fishes, the young fish, and this results in the population being depleting. So when juvenile fish are not allowed to grow and become larger fish and the population cannot multiply, then of course this will result in depletion of that fish species. So this is what has been seen. So the reason for this is zero mesh size nets, overfishing, and also these another type of enclosures, gheri, which are being used. So these are also very close mesh enclosures which are used for aquaculture for prawns cultivation. So these are resulting in even the species migration being restricted, and this we are seeing is restricting the biodiversity, and the important fish species, even commercially important fish species in Chilika Lake are depleting, and of course affecting the population of the fishermen here in this region. So now actions are being taken to remove all these gheri. So satellite imagery data has also been used to see how many man-made gheris for illegal prawn cultivation have been put in Chilika Lake region, and the removal of these is being undertaken. An eviction drive is going on. So this is Chilika Lake here in Odisha. Then the next news item is LOC trade via URI to resume soon. So this is regarding cross LOC trade. So this is Jammu and Kashmir, as you can see here. So this part of Jammu and Kashmir is with India in blue. This is the Pakistan occupied Kashmir, POK, and this is the Jammu and Kashmir region which is with China. So China has occupied after the 1962 war. This Aksai Chin region is with China. Even this Saksham Valley, actually this Saksham Valley is part of Pakistan occupied Kashmir, handed over to China. So it has been illegally ceded by Pakistan to China. So this is the region again presently under Chinese control. And this is the Siachen Glacier region. Of course, this is with India. So here you can see this is the LOC, this borderline boundary between POK and Jammu and Kashmir region under Indian control is called LOC, line of control, and the LAC is line of actual control, which is the boundary between India and China. So this is there. So presently the news is regarding cross LOC trade. So cross LOC trade had been initiated in 2008, and now this trade is being further strengthened as we see. So the boost has been provided when the two sides, Indian and Pakistani authorities, started formal communication mechanism. Before this, the communication line used even for cross trading related purposes were the security agencies' hotlines. So these were the only sources of communication. And now a formal communication mechanism, a permanent communication line will be coming up, has been decided. So this is of course going to facilitate cross LOC trade. So there have been concerns here too. Recently also there was the 66.5 kg of heroin which was seized from a POK truck on July 21 itself. Even National Investigation Agency NIA has also given its adverse report against LOC route being used, because it says that some of these are being illegally used for illegal purposes which are against the security of the nation, which are used by separatist leaders. So that is why it has also called for banning cross LOC trade. So this is the concern here too. But of course, trade is one people to people contact initiative which boosts relations and which brings in peace. So of course, economic activity results in peace, a case being made for peace. So if there are people of Jammu and Kashmir which support separatists, they would also have their own economic interest under threat if trade and such activities are restricted. So that is why it is said that economic development, prosperity is the key to making people ensure themselves being stakeholders in their own interests, and they would not support such separatist activities. So of course this is there. Then the next news item is Centre mulls changing minimum wages formula. So this is regarding the minimum wages formula. So the Central Advisory Committee on Minimum Wages has said that we will constitute a committee to deliberate on proposed changes so that minimum wages for workers can be modified. It is said that this minimum wages as such are calculated based on recommendations of the Indian Labour Conference of 1957. So the norms remain the same. Of course, the minimum wages as such are updated every 5 years, but the criteria which is used is the same. So now a committee will be established, has been decided for calculation of minimum wages formula. So this is there. Presently, what the minimum wages include is given detailed out here. The number of units per family, etc. will be changed. So this detail given here you can see. So presently, the number of units per family which is taken is of 3. So it is for 3 members per family on a 2,700 calories of food per person, 72 yards of cloth required as such. So this, all these, how minimum housing rent taken into consideration, education, light, fuel. So this is there. The demand is that at least this a family considered as a unit of 3 should be extended to at least family of 5 or 6. Such demands are being made. So a new formula will be constituted as such is seen. But then the industry says that if new formula is constituted and the wages increase, it would be difficult for them to implement. But of course there will be resistance. So minimum wages have to improve if the condition of the population as such has to improve as well. So this is the minimum wages, how it is decided. There are 2 other types of wages, living wages and fair wages. We'll see that also. First looking at minimum wages. So this minimum wages revised every 5 years. It is for a family of 3, 3 consumption units and with 1 earner. So minimum food requirement of 2,700 calories per average adult, and here clothing requirement of 72 yards per annum per family. Rent corresponding to the minimum area provided under government's industrial housing scheme. So that rent provision is added up. Then fuel, lighting, etc. So expenditures on this, which should constitute 20% of the minimum wages, is taken into consideration. Children education, medical requirement, minimum recreation should constitute 25% of the total minimum wages is decided. So this and other factors are taken into consideration and this minimum wage is calculated. So this provides for bare sustenance of life as such. So this is there so that the efficiency of workers can also be made, can also be ensured. Measures of education, medical care are also taken into consideration. Then another concept is of living wages. So living wages is not only the bare essentials like minimum wages, but also further protection against ill health, social needs, etc., insurance for old age, all that is also added up. So living wage is more than the minimum wages. And fair wage as such is something in between minimum wages and living wages. So this is called fair wages. So these are the 3 terminologies. Then next is GPS facility to raise handset costs. So this is regarding GPS, Global Positioning System. So this is the open source we know of USA, Global Positioning System, the satellite data which keeps a track. You have GPS in your mobile as such too, so you can know the location exactly, where are you, what is around you, what is the route. So this GPS is there in smartphones only, but in other standard phones there is no GPS facility inbuilt, and the government has mandated that all mobile phones in the country with effect from January 1, 2018 should have GPS facility, inbuilt GPS facility. So this mandatory to install GPS in all mobile phones. Means sold in India, means even if they are imported, GPS should be there. So this is the aim, is to locate subscribers in emergency situations, so especially for women. So this is a provision which the government has made, but the telecom sector has come up against it, saying that majority of the people here actually who buy mobile phones are buying basic mobile phones. So this is a huge number of people who buy basic phones, and such devices are not having GPS capability, and if GPS capability is brought in, then it will result in increasing the cost, because even their power consumption would be more, the memory requirement would be more, and they say the cost of such phones will increase from 40 to 50%, by about 40 to 50%. So this will take away people from connectivity. So you will make mobile phones costlier for people, and people will not have telecom connectivity too. So this is the reason which is being provided. And another thing which the argument is put forth is that GPS, even if it is provided, if there is no data, no, if internet connectivity is not there, then GPS function is not helpful. So of course, with basic phones also, if a person has, all phones have GPS, but data is not available to them, they don't access data, then GPS is not having any utility. So there is a need for the government to rethink on this decision, and that is why the telecom ministry has also decided to hold a meeting with the telecom handset makers as such, to understand the implications of this policy now, and this policy may be reviewed. So of course we'll hear more about it, but presently the notification as such of the government is this, that GPS is mandatory. So this is there. You can see for more than 40% of the mobile market presently is of simple feature phones. Simple phones with an average cost of around rupees 1,500 in India. So considering that safety and security of women is of utmost importance, Department of Telecom has come up with this mandatory provision that GPS should be there in all mobile handsets. But then if data is not available in that mobile handset, then availability of GPS as such is not of any use. And also the mobile phone manufacturers say that it will push up the cost, which will result in for many the mobile phones becoming costlier and they being out of the telecom connectivity. So these are the concerns being raised as such too. Then next is services PMI drops to lowest since September 2013. So this is regarding purchasing managers index. We saw it yesterday too. That was manufacturing purchasing managers index. That had gone low for the month of July. So this comes out monthly. This is not from the government. So this is Nikki India, which is providing this index, both for manufacturing sector and for services sector also. So for manufacturing sector also it was 47.9 for July, and for purchasing for services sector it is 45.9 for the month of July. So this is at the lowest level since September 2030, and as we have already seen that 50% below reading means contraction in the economy, and above 50% means expansion in the economy. So this is there, and the reason for this is said to be implementation of GST. Lack of clarity and knowledge regarding GST has resulted in the activity being contracting, economic activity in both manufacturing and services sector, and it is expected that later in the coming months this would catch up. So this is the services PMI for the year 2017 shown from Jan to July. Then next is Make in India yet to spur manufacturing, says panel. So this is Parliament Standing Committee on Commerce. So as we saw, there are various committees having a term of 1 year. So parliamentary committees, the standing committee on various sectors are also there. The last we discussed was Public Accounts Committee. So there are sectoral standing committees too. So this is on commerce as such, and this committee is headed by BJP MP. So this committee has questioned the country's low manufacturing growth. It says that despite initiatives such as Make in India, Startup India, FDI reforms, the manufacturing growth remains low, and these initiatives have already been completed 2 years. So more than 2 years old, still we are seeing that manufacturing growth is not increasing. So that is why it has said that there is a need for optimal implementation of these programs. All obstacles should be removed in a time-bound manner. So this programs as such also we will see. So manufacturing growth has been on an average just 1.6% in the 5 years till 2015-16, and a 0.5 contraction has been seen in the first 9 months of financial year 2017. So that is a cause of concern. So these 3 schemes, Make in India, Startup and FDI reforms, we'll discuss here. So this is Make in India, which was launched by Prime Minister Narendra Modi in September 2014 to attract businesses around the world to invest and manufacture in India. So Make in India as a brand as such was to be promoted. So for this, physical infrastructure needs to be built, digital network connectivity has to be provided so that Make in India is facilitated. So here the provisions which were brought forth under Make in India. So flexibility in working hours, labor law amendments were done. A single portal, makeinindia.com, was created so that companies can seek policy clarifications within 72 hours. eBiz, a single window IT platform, was provided for all services to all, accessing services from all government departments, ministries. Also, industrial licenses processing was also simplified through eBiz portal. So this is part of NEGP, which is an old program as such. Then validity of industrial licenses were extended to 3 years. So to boost manufacturing, Make in India. So even manufacturing should contribute at least 25% to the GDP of the country. Presently it is 15% was the target as such. And also it has the target that 24 manufacturing cities should be established in the first phase, with 7 cities being completed by 2019. So these cities being promoted as manufacturing cities, in the areas in which they have the prominence. So 25 growth sectors have also been identified, like IT, automobile, pharma, infrastructure, renewable energy, where Make in India can be promoted, and capital subsidies also provided. Then this is regarding Startup India, where startups were promoted in the country. So various provisions given for them too. This we have discussed twice or thrice in the last 2 months also. So this no labor inspection for 3 years, self-certification. Then even fund of funds has been created to support the startups in the country. Then even income tax relief, capital gains tax exemption. So all these provisions are there. And the FDI reforms which the government has undertaken. So in various sectors, the foreign investment being facilitated. So for the liberalization of FDI norms has taken place. Then next is the last news item. India's first private missile production facility unveiled. So this is regarding the joint venture between Kalyani Group and Israel's Rafael Advanced Defense Systems Limited. So this is a company from Israel. Another Rafale which we have seen in defense sector is Rafale, Dassault Rafale. So that is Dassault company of France, which has this multi-role combat aircraft, Rafale. So that is another Rafale. This is the company of Israel. So Kalyani Rafale Advanced Systems is the joint venture which has been formed with 51% stake of Kalyani and 49% of Rafale. So this plant has been inaugurated here in near Hyderabad in Telangana. So this will manufacture anti-tank guided missiles, the Spike anti-tank guided missile, with the help of Israel. So Indian Army plans to induct these anti-tank guided missiles too. So they would be supplied to Indian Army, and there are plans to even export to Southeast Asian countries. So this is Make in India in Defense, which is now being put into effect. The first private sector missile subsystem has been created in the country. Also, it has other plans too, to have other commodities also being manufactured. So you can see a control and guidance system, electro-optics, etc., remote weapon systems. These would also be manufactured in this plant as such. So this is there, and as I said, 51-49 joint venture, 51 with Kalyani. So localization will also be there. It says localization content is 90%. And this is regarding the anti-tank guided missiles. We have our anti-tank guided missiles which are aging. So second generation missiles, we are using them. So these have to be guided through wire guided. So these wire guided means they cannot be easily directed. So that is why it has to be directed to targets to be beneficial. So that is why these are of concern. We are also manufacturing our own anti-tank guided missile, the NAG missile, but still it has not been functional. So that is why we are in dire need for anti-tank guided missiles, and Spike of Israel here being manufactured in the country will give a boost to Indian Army as well. So we have a 50% shortage of the authorized holding of ATGMs, anti-tank guided missiles, in the country. So these are the details also provided of this deal, Kalyani Group, which we just discussed. So they are intended to replace in armies, Indian armies, infantry battalions and mechanized regiments missiles. So this is the third generation. What we are using is second generation. This is third generation fire and forget man portable anti-tank missile Spike. So these are the news items. Thank you.